My ex cheated, got dumped, and now wants me to fix his life. After 4 years of manipulation, I'm finally done. I'm 23, my ex is 25, and we dated for 4 years before breaking up over the summer. I've since started dating my current partner, 24M. I'll call my ex John, his ex Jane, and my current partner Sam. The day after Valentine's Day, I received a text from John asking if I'd be up for a phone call. Since we hadn't really been on speaking terms, and I felt quite anxious, honestly, talking to him, I was hesitant to allow it. So, I asked why he needed to talk. He said he'd recently gotten out of a pretty violently emotional relationship, and his ex, Jane, had made him out to be this controlling, toxic, abusive asshole she couldn't wait to drop from her life. He wanted to hear from me if I also felt this way about him, and, if so, how he could fix it. I knew it would probably turn into me holding his hand through practicing empathy, but I thought, at least I'll get a chance to stick it to him and let him know he treated me poorly as well. As some backstory, we met at the end of 2020 after my dad had passed pretty unexpectedly and traumatically. I was 18 at the time, and my dad took his own life during quarantine with myself, my sister, and my mom in the house. Obviously, this had some effects on my mental health, which led me to drop out of college only a month after enrolling. I started working full-time and meeting people on dating sites. Beyond a compatible taste in music, John and I didn't have a ton in common, and for the first 6 to 8 months of us dating, we fought almost daily. He accused me of dressing too provocatively, seeking out male attention, emotionally cheating on him with close, long-term friends, and lots of other things. This being my first serious relationship, I figured, he must be right, and I did what he asked to rectify my faults as a partner. Shortly after that, my close friends all iced me out of the friend group, calling me too much of an emotional burden. They said I couldn't always be the center of attention, and my grief over my dad was apparently not dissipating fast enough for me to be a fun person to be around. Maybe that was true, but what sucked more afterwards is that for years after, my ex-friends told a ton of people in our small town just what they thought of me and everything I did to wrong them. Pretty much everyone I might have wanted to be friends with had already been told exactly why I didn't deserve friends. I had a terrible relationship with my mom at the time, so it was just John, honestly, in my corner. About 2 years after my dad passed, John's mom passed just as suddenly. Some freak cardiac event. I won't go over the details of much of this out of respect for the situation, but I did truly do a lot to help John through the grief, considering I had more than enough experience losing people myself. This was all fine and good, and we didn't have a great relationship towards the end, but I had at least felt we were life partners in some capacity. Well, as it turns out, John told me over the phone this weekend that for months before he broke things off with me, he was flirting with other girls and eventually downloaded a dating app and started seeing a girl while we were still living together. I was honestly super shocked. I mean, we'd had conversations for years about how if you're feeling you want to cheat, just end the relationship, because clearly we don't need to be together anymore. But no, he, by his own admission on the phone, was looking to line up his next girlfriend before ending things with me so he wouldn't have to be alone. The reason he wanted to call, in my opinion, more than anything, is because karma was finally catching up to him, and he was facing and trying to avoid the consequences of how he treated the girl he cheated on me with, Jane. He couldn't accept the fact that he had so royally fucked up his relationship with her because of his alcoholism and narcissistic behavior, so he called me up to reassure him that it was her fault, not his, that things didn't work out. Well, that's not what I told him. The things he said Jane said about his treatment of her felt so extremely similar, down to the insults he used against her, that I was like, frozen. Our conversation over the phone became him working out his feelings on the breakup as well as his detailed timeline of exactly when and how he cheated on me before breaking things off. He also admitted any time he and Jane had fought, he threatened S***C* to keep her from leaving him. I just sat and listened to like 40 minutes of each and every way he abused this girl, realizing in the moment that he had done all of these things and more to me. I came out of that conversation having promised to get him help in a number of ways because of the amount of times he had threatened harming himself if he didn't have someone, whether it was Jane or myself, in his life. Obviously, considering my dad's passing, S***C* is very triggering to me, and it worked like a charm in getting me stuck facing his problems once again. I even told him I'd watch his pet over his spring break. That was this weekend. Flash forward, and after getting the opinions of my current partner, my friends, my therapist, my coworkers, and my family, I decided, fuck that. I'm not letting myself fall for this again. I texted John and let him know. So he calls me again. This time our conversation is more of him complaining about the things Jane had said about him, expressing regret over telling me the truth about his infidelity, and repeatedly questioning my decision to keep him out of my life. It's like he wasn't hearing what I was saying. I tried every approach. I told him how pissed everyone in my life would be if I let him back in. I told him it would be too much of an emotional weight on my shoulders to navigate a friendship with him in any capacity. I told him regardless of if he'd cheated on me or not, he made the decision to end our relationship and had to live with that. I told him he never deserved to be with someone as forgiving and loving as myself. I told him that to me, it felt like cheating to speak to him while dating my current partner. I told him my therapist told me no, it would be self-destructive to open that door again, and he would not hear any of it. My partner Sam heard the tail end of the phone call after coming to my place after he got off work and had to beg me to cut off the call and stop torturing myself. I'd never seen him so angry on my behalf. I kind of blacked out when John started bringing up my dad, but Sam tells me he had a lot to say about how my grief translated to emotionally cheating on John with friends. I don't even know. He also told me I'd never felt as alone as he's feeling right now, which I found rich. Anyway, it's been a hell of a week. My birthday was this week, of course, too. So what a celebration. And all I can think is I can't believe I let such a fuckhead rule my life for 4 years. I'll be calling a welfare check on him and informing his family of the situation just to do my due diligence so I don't have that on my mind for the rest of my life. But after that, we won't have any more of a relationship. Glad to see that Jane has also told him to fuck off and live with the consequences of his actions. Sorry if this is a muddled explanation of everything, and do let me know if there's any clarification needed.